So, you want to make a desert theme for your video game, huh? Well, don't worry. On this channel, all I practically do is talk about video game music, except that one time I made a video about why River City Girls is mid at best that no one watched. I'm not salty about it. Video game music is all about immersion. You gotta feel like you're in the area, and if your music sounds like a water theme while you're burning your butt on lava, it's gonna feel a little weird. So, we need to adhere to nearly 30 years of built-up expectation that has been laid out by our forefathers before us, and that means reference. For full transparency, I referenced Mario 64's lava theme, which in hindsight doesn't make sense for a desert theme, but who cares? For this song, I limited myself to 3 hours for research and inspiration, as well as actually composing the song. This was a mistake, but let me tell you why. Music in games is such a subjective medium, meaning that basically you can do whatever you want and get away with it if there's the right intention behind it. For instance, that thing I said about a lava world with water music, it could be applicable under the right context. And that's the magic word, context. I didn't have any for this project because I underestimated the level of context I would need in this situation. So, with my context being essentially nothing besides desert, I set off to make the song. As you can see, I had no clue what I was doing until I found this pan drum that sounded interesting but would be more suited to a water level. But then I was like, the way it sounds when it's pitched really low is kind of fire. No pun intended. It's wherever you want. Pretty cool, eh? And that was enough for me to finally have a direction. Once I laid down the chords, I thought I really needed to fill the space with some drums and get a sense of rhythm going, so I grabbed some samples I recorded by smacking my partner's ukulele. You thought that was going somewhere else, huh? No ukuleles were harmed in the making of these samples, by the way. As it turns out, the uke worked as a pseudo bongo or tabla, which helped bring the vibe together a little more. But something was definitely still missing. So, I started adding the bones of my ancestors, naturally. Close enough. It's more like an echoey marimba or something like that, but regardless, it gave us more rhythm and allowed us to get more tone into the song as well. All that was left was melody. I'll be real with you. I should have looked up and researched way more into Arabian chords, but what we got isn't too bad. I ended up finding my old reliable for melody and laid down the flute because, for some reason, I cannot escape flutes as a lead instrument. At this point, I was an hour in and the pressure was starting to build because I realized my shit was like 2 seconds long. A bit of a side tangent here. Unlike most modern production, I kind of refuse to use stems of longer musical ideas in my own music unless it's particularly a part of the style of the song, like Jet Set Radio, for example. Something that's very sample based, then pull music from other things. But if the point is for me to compose something from scratch, it seems counterintuitive to use something someone else composed together. So I'm hinging on that as an excuse for how long it's taking me, even though it's just a matter of fact that I came in unprepared. Anyway, I found an udu drum. It's kind of in the contract. If you find an udu drum, you just have to use it for hot desert/lava themes. Moving on. My next task wasn't really a necessary one, but my heart said to do it regardless. Bass lines are a subtle but important part of a track, but the reason I say it might not have been necessary was because bass serves two purposes. The first one is rhythm, which we have covered in spades in this track already due to the bongos and the bones of my ancestors and voodoo drum. So I chose to keep the bass line simple as not to overcomplicate the rhythm at all. The second thing is rooting the key of the song, which I slowly but surely realized over the course of this track that everything is out of tune and insane. So, by adding the bass, I've made the vibe weird, and I'm going to have to fix it later, but that's for future me. Look at past me. So innocent and unaware. The next step in the journey into the hot, melty beat was chords in the background. I continued to have the same problem I had without realizing it where things are out of tune, but something else was weird about adding the chords. No matter what instrument I picked out for them, it seemed like they didn't fit the aesthetic of the song. And that's because they don't. Lots of chords add air and space. But that's kind of the opposite feeling I wanted for the track. I wanted it to feel hot, not breezy. Another problem for future me. For now, I finally started to realize that nothing was in key with each other, so I spent 20 minutes getting it back in order. Don't judge. And then it was time for me to extend out this 20-second loop that I spent an hour and 30 minutes on. Don't judge. Into a much longer track. 20 minutes later, I started adding more melody and make the song a lot more bearable to listen to, and accidentally write the Walking Dead theme? Now that I've officially plagiarized myself into a hole, I can call myself a true artist.
And then I committed the cardinal sin. Listen closely, my fellow composers and music enthusiasts. Never stoop so low as I to have enact the evil ritual forbidden by music appreciation gods. The sheer nature of it sends shivers down the spine of any listener. It cracks the very fabric of sanctity and honor. Do as I say, and not as I do.
Basically, I took the whole song and looped it again in a lower key. It's lazy, but if you get into it later and change up things in the new section, you can end up creating some cool stuff. But I was very unabashedly lazy and did not do any of those things. But seriously, if you want to be taken seriously, don't do this, probably. There's one last thing in this song that made a major difference. Those strings I mentioned earlier, I replaced the sound with the low sitar string sound from Mario 64, and I cannot stress enough how much that helped change the vibe. I said at the start of the stream I wasn't going to use it out of some honor thing, but after that last little stunt I pulled, I didn't have a shred of honor left, so why not? Anyway, that's it. I bet you're all clamoring to hear what it sounds like in its entirety, right? Awesome. Let's hear it. Is it me, or is it hot in here? If you look forward to seeing more songs from me, give me a sub. If you want to download the song and use it for anything besides redistribution, feel free. Link is in the description. Maybe DeFi can interest you in another video. Anyway, take care of yourselves out there. Seriously, it's crazy. Later.